Are you running a small to medium enterprise in an emerging or developing market? If so, perhaps these problems will sound familiar to you. For those of you that don't know, I have come up in family business. My family is involved in a number of industries, namely financial services, education, hospitality, logistics, real estate, and a few others. One of the problems I've noticed that we have is in recruitment and retention, finding the best workers and keeping them. It's a very difficult thing to do in a developing market. Now, it's difficult in part because of the nature of developing markets. Firstly, because it's a developing economy, there's not going to be that many skilled workers in the first place. So you have a small pool to select from in the first place. And then there are very high barriers to entry because of the existing corporations and multinationals. They can kind of put these very high barriers to entry for SMEs. So it's difficult to get into the market and compete in that market. Then there's the regulatory environment as well, the labor laws, the land laws, things regarding business. It's very difficult to operate as an SME. And it's one of those things, it's caused quite a conundrum because in family business, I was speaking to my father earlier last year when we were talking about perhaps purchasing a lodge by the lake. And his problem was, yeah, it would be good, but who would run it? Because we are based in Blantyre, and Blantyre is about 160 kilometers away from the lake. So there's no one there that's based locally. So his thing was, who would run it? Who would manage it if no one from the family is there? So again, there's this issue of finding someone to trust to run the place who is outside of the family. And it's one of those things that's been a concern, an issue. Recruitment of people who are both talented and trustworthy. Had people who are talented, but perhaps not loyal, not honest, not playing for the team, sometimes envious of the fact that you are the business owner. They wish they were the owner. So these are things that have been issues in the past. Or you have people who are loyal, they are a part of the team. Unfortunately, they're not that talented. So you can have this issue where you've got, say, a good accountant, really talented, however, is stealing from you. Or you have an accountant that's not that good, and now you're paying taxes on things that you shouldn't be paying taxes on. We made a loss this year, but we're paying capital gains on this asset that was loss making. How is that possible? So these are issues that you get, either talented, not loyal, or loyal, not talented. That is a big issue in emerging markets because, one, perhaps the talent pool isn't that deep. Because what happens to the best and the brightest? They either get taken up by the multinationals, the big corporations, or they go abroad in the so-called brain drain. Or it's just difficult for them to be attracted to a small or medium enterprise if they are really that good, if they are the A players. We say we've got A, B, and C's, like in terms of grades, right? So a lot of the guys who are A star employees, it's difficult to attract them because maybe your compensation package isn't as good, your name is not as prestigious, you don't offer the same kinds of benefits, say like, I don't know, medical insurance and all that they can get at the best places. So what you're left with is a talent pool where all the best players have gone to places where they get better offers. So how do you compete with those offers? And also, even if you can't get the A players, how do you get at least B players who are who are interested in being part of the team and actually feeling like they're part of the team, you know? That loyalty, that's one of the big issues with places like that. Man, because if you're trying to scale to get to the level where you are a proper corporation, where you have thousands of employees, to make it past the SME level where maybe you have, I think we've got probably 90 employees all told, but if you want to get to the place where you've got, say, 10,000 people and you are a major player where you can now even list on the stock exchange, how do you get to that level? Some of the things that affect your ability to scale in these markets, in emerging or developing markets, can be the labor laws because they overly favor the employee. It's good for labor laws to at least give employees benefit of the doubt. However, they don't even give the employer a chance. There's supposed to be some kind of balance. But what you get in a lot of these like developing economies is there is this whole distrust of the employer if they are not a government agency. If you're a private entity and you're employing people, it's almost like the courts assume that you are in the wrong. It's like taken as a given that you must be in the wrong. That's the attitude that they have. And that's an unfortunate attitude to have when you're trying to develop a market because you need the private sector to grow in order for that market to develop. Okay, now that we understand the constraints of the market that we're operating in, how do we win? What are the actionable steps that we can take so that we can still win despite the negative environment? Because I'm not really interested in complaining, really. I'm interested in solutions. What I think is necessary is one, creating a winning culture, a place that people want to join, even if the compensation package isn't as large as what they might be able to get abroad or in one of these multinationals or corporations. The fact that they can come in and be part of a team where there is growth, where there is actual learning, where they can be the best version of themselves, that can be attractive in and of itself. Number two is on our side, talent ID before the person comes in. Like being able to identify those A-star players that are remaining in the market. How can we make sure that this is a person that, one, has the skill set, two, the mentality? Like this is someone who will be loyal, who will be positive, who will be self-motivated day in, day out to be able to achieve not only for the company, but for themselves. So those are the two things that I can see working right now on a strategic level. These are my thoughts on the solutions. And of course, this is at the strategic level. Now I need to figure out exactly how to do it from the operational standpoint. And yeah, that's it from me. I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts on your solutions or what you think the solutions might be.